Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thank you to those who are tuned in and who've been tuned in the past. You can't have a podcast without an audience. And thank you to those of you who are subscribed. Having a loyal base of listeners is great. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so. When you subscribe, you ensure that you get every episode as we release them. Finally, thank you to those who have reached out with questions and comments. Those are very, very helpful in planning future topics. I suppose I should also thank those who have referred others to the podcast. That really helps. It helps build a base of listeners and subscribers. I can't reach everybody, but those referrals certainly help me extend that reach. Today what I'm going to share is really my opinion, and I'll just preface everything just by saying this is all my opinion. It's not fact, it's just kind of my experience and my conjecture. But at any rate, years ago, and this dates back to when I was practicing law, for those who don't know, I started my career in a really big firm. If you want to get the whole story, go to episode 000, the very first episode, and I lay out my whole background. But I started in a big firm, then I went into private practice and ultimately got into what is now AmSpirit Business Connections. So I was kind of into the networking scene. And this was in the mid to late 90s. And I was mainly practicing law. I wasn't other than just being a member in the organization, I really had no affiliation with it. But I was really kind of a student of becoming a student of networking, and I was certainly trying to help people. Mainly the people who were my clients. I had lots of great small business clients. That's the type of attorney I had, and I was running into all sorts of people who were trying to get their own businesses started or buy a business. Some people were selling a business, but I had my hands in lots of small businesses and small not-for-profits out there. But at any rate, for those who are old enough, you'll remember in the mid to late 90s, this thing came along. It was the internet. And it was kind of a neat thing. It was like, okay, what is this all about? And, is this a fad or is this the way we're going? In my mind, it was the way we were going. It was the way that business was going. And it wasn't a question of should I get a website, but it's what should be on that website. That was in my mind. And part of that was I had a friend who had bought an internet service provider, a small internet service provider, and those have pretty much all gone away at this point in time, but he had bought a business, and I shared about that in an episode as well. But he had bought a business, and so I was helping him with some legal stuff, and he was helping me with some internet stuff, and he was showing me some things that really convinced me that the internet was here to stay. So I had all these small business clients, and with respect to those small business clients, I was convincing them one by one to get a website. Hey, you need to get a website. If you're going to be in business, if you're going to be legit, you need to get a website. And so make your jokes about attorneys all you want. That's great. But my clients really hung on all the things I said. They went with the banks I recommended. They used the accountants I recommended for the most part, if they didn't already have one. Payroll services, my clients really looked to me for help in lots of things beyond the legal services I provided. And so when it came time for me to refer them individuals to do a web presence for them, help them create a web presence, they were going to listen to me. Well, there was one particular individual who he was not an internet service provider, but he was really kind of that coding person, the person who was helping people with their websites. And I was sending people his way because he had done a good job and he had taken care of clients, and why not, right? It was a good thing. I'm going to continue to do it. And I was sending him business client after business client after business client. Well, one day he called me up, and there was email, but we were still kind of prone to calling each other. He called me up and he was just raving. He said, "I cannot believe all the great clients you've sent me. This is just amazing. I cannot thank you enough. In fact, I'm going to start paying you a referral fee. Whenever you send me a client, I'm going to send you money. I forget what it was. I mean, it wasn't anything small, but he was going to send me money. It was not just a token little, hey, here's a Starbucks card. It may have been $1,000, and in his mind he had some sort of formula figured out. But I told him, I said, listen, you don't need to do that. You don't need to pay me. I'm not expecting that. My clients expect me to help them in all sorts of different ways, and referring them to great professionals is one of those ways. I mean, I get paid on it, but it certainly solidifies my relationship with my client. So I just kind of went on and on, like, listen, you don't need to do this. He says, no, I insist. I really appreciate you. I'm going to do this. Well, what ended up happening was this. I never referred him anybody ever again. And it wasn't a conscious decision not to refer him. I just never did. I had clients I probably could have, and I never did. And there was something subconscious, and it really kind of bothered me, or it certainly made me wonder, why is this? Why did this happen? And I wonder about it for years. And as time went on and my network grew and I grew my influence in lots of different directions, I've had people who have come to me and have said, hey, listen, I've got this training program. You send people my way. Here's a link. If they sign in using your link, then I'll cut you money. And I've always said, listen, I'm not interested in that. And I've really never understood as to why that is. And a lot of people will look at me and say, well, wow, Frank, you've got this huge network. You've got all this influence. Why don't you capitalize on it? And I haven't. And call me silly, call me stupid if you will, and I'm going to explain my rationale for it. And again, this is just my opinion. You may have a totally different opinion out there. I met a guy last year who has built a whole networking group where it's all about referral fees, people paying referral fees back and forth. And I understand there are affiliate links. I'm not talking about affiliate links. I'm talking about things where these are big professional services, training programs that are hundreds of dollars. I just have never wanted to engage in that. Well, it all kind of came not crashing down, but it all started to really make sense a few weeks ago. I had somebody reach out to me. We connected via LinkedIn, the wonder of LinkedIn, and we arranged for a phone call. I always try to, with LinkedIn, not just connect with somebody, but see where it can go from there. Can we have a telephone conversation? Can we build a relationship? And I have a lot of great contacts. Berta Medina, Matt Ward, Adam Connors, Pablo Gonzalez. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It all started on LinkedIn. And that LinkedIn conversation turned into these wonderful relationships of largely people I've never met in person, but who are really, really neat people, and I consider them friends. But at any rate, this woman I connected with on LinkedIn, and she said, yeah, let's have a conversation. So we had a quick conversation. We were having a quick conversation. And, she asked what I did, and I explained what I did, and all the ways that I get myself networked and the different groups I have out there, the Charitable Roundtable, AmSpirit Business Connections, this thing called the Networking Hub, which I haven't talked about at all yet on here, which is really kind of a fascinating thing. I was telling her all the ways I was connected, and right away she seized upon that, and she said, you know what? Would you like to be an affiliate of mine? And I'm like, well, what do you mean affiliate? She's, well, you know what? You send me people, and I pay you for people who end up, because I know lots of people could use what I do, and I won't get into that, and you could really help me grow my business. And I just politely told her, I said, I'm not really interested in that, and that was kind of the end of it. I mean, the call didn't end right there, but it was just like, don't do those things. And she was kind of quizzing me as to why, and that's when it really kind of came to me as to why. And I gave her two reasons, but there's actually a third that I didn't say. But I'm going to go through those three reasons real quickly. And this is the reason why in the start, the person who wanted to pay me to send him website clients, I just kind of grew cold on. The first is really kind of a psychology reason. When I connect people, when I make introductions, I enjoy doing that. there's a bit of a high there. I'm helping people. I'm contributing to the world. I need to be doing these things. We need to be giving to other people. We need to be helping other people. And the moment you want to pay me, you take that joy away from me. You completely take that joy away from me. And I know that sounds silly. Most people are like, well, I'd rather have the money than the joy. Yeah, maybe, I guess. I mean, I can see it, but I'm not desperate for money. I tell people at the end of the day, I don't want to be known for a guy who made a living connecting people and getting paid for it. I mean, there are executive recruiters, there's franchise brokers, and that's what they do, and that's a whole different thing. But I don't want 16 different things that I'm pitching to different people. And I don't want to just have one thing where that's got to be my whole income, because then I can't devote energies to what I'm doing. I want to help people because I want to help people. Everybody I know could benefit from somebody else I know, and I don't need to be paid for that. I just want to try and be helpful for people. So the first reason I really shied away from it was psychology, just simple psychology. I wanted the joy of helping other people, and the moment you pay me, I'm not helping somebody. Really, I'm getting paid. And so it just, I couldn't put my finger on it then, but I see it clearly now. The second thing really was credibility. And it really mattered when I was an attorney, and I didn't really think about it. I should have thought about it. Shame on me. But there's a real ethical problem when you're, as an attorney, when you're referring people and getting paid for that. I mean, that's a real ethical problem. And so as an attorney, I couldn't, and I didn't really kind of piece that together. Maybe I got stuck on the psychology point one, but I didn't really think about it. But, if I would have referred one of my business clients to this person to have their website done, and they would have found out I gotten paid, that would have destroyed my entire credibility with respect to all the referrals I've ever made, all the connections I made to them. Are you referring me to this person because they're a good website person, or because you're getting paid? That would be the doubt in their mind. And the website person was a great person. He did a wonderful job. People raved about him, but that would have destroyed my credibility, certainly with respect to that particular client. But where does it go from there? When does the word get out that, yeah, he's getting paid by all these things? And then even when you're not getting paid, people are assuming you're getting paid. And so that is kind of carried over. And, I want to connect to people because I really believe that it's in both parties' best interest. And it's not in my best interest. And I just feel if I'm getting paid, you got to kind of question that. You've got to really kind of question, am I doing the right thing? And so for that reason, I've really kind of backed away from getting paid. If I'm going to send somebody to your seminar or your webinar, I want to believe that it's good. I want to believe that you're going to do a good job and that you're going to treat people fairly. And if it's a $300 webinar and you've got to give me $100 to coax somebody to show up at it, then it's really only a $200 webinar. There's $100 in there to pay me, so you're only delivering $200 worth of value. And it's just like, just do the right thing. Give people value, and if you give people value, I am more than happy to refer you, assuming I've gotten a chance to know you, like you, and trust you. And again, this is all my opinion. This is all my opinion. There are people out there probably think I'm a fool and I've passed up all sorts of money, and maybe I have. I like to think that the reason I have the network that I have and have the influence that I have is that I am, or at least try to be, I don't know what I am, but I try to be genuine about these things, and that I'm not collecting a fee for referring people, so they can trust that. And so when I do point somebody in the right direction, they can rely on that. So those are the first two. One, psychology. Don't want to be paid because you're taking the joy away from me doing a nice thing for other people. And two, credibility. I don't want to be paid because if you pay me, I run the risk of having my credibility destroyed. Well, the third thing really kind of came up in this last little episode. And when the person said, hey, would you be my affiliate link? For a moment there, as she was explaining this, I felt a wave of outrage or insult. I was outraged. I was insulted by this, And I really had to think about it after the call, and it's probably the reason I didn't say anything. I don't know if I would have said anything anyways. But in that moment where she was saying, hey, listen, you send me people, I will pay you, what she was really saying is this: Frank, I don't care about you. I don't care about what you want in life. I just know that you have something I want in life, and I'm willing to pay you for it. And, at the end of the day, as I've indicated, I want to be known for building and growing an organization called AmSpirit Business Connections. How big that gets, I don't know. It's all yet to be determined. But that's beside the point. I don't want to be known for something else other than that. And so the fact that you might pay me $100, I'm using you in the general sense, $100 to send somebody to your seminar, or pay me $1,000 because I've got somebody to sign up for this big year-long program, you know what? What you're basically saying is, Frank, I don't care about you. I'm not going to try and refer you. I'm just going to try and buy you off. I'm going to put a value on what I can get out of your network and not really help you with your hopes and dreams. And I really want to align myself and help people who want to help me too. I don't want to just be paid and have that be the end of it. I mean, if that's all I wanted out of life, I could have been a sales representative for any number of businesses along the way. I have a CPA, I have an MBA, I have a law degree. I could be the marketing person for some accounting firm. I could be the marketing person for some legal firm or some other professional services firm, with my background. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to do. Maybe if all else fails, maybe that's a fallback position, but it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. But I don't want to just be your sales rep. I want to have a relationship. I want to network. I want you to help me when you see things for me, and I will help things when I see things for you. And I don't think that there needs to be a barter or any sort of money going back and forth. And if I need your services, well, then I'll buy your services. And that's a whole nother question, getting into bartering and why I'm not a fan of bartering at all. So that's really kind of my 2 cents on the problem with referral fees. And these affiliate, again, not the affiliate link where somebody's subscribing to a website for $30 and you're going to get $250 a year and you're putting thousands of people, and that's a whole different conversation. I don't even want to get into. These are for the big ticket. Hey, you have lots of influence with lots of really successful professional people who can afford my service. Send them to me and I'll send you $1,000 for every one that shows up. It's not what I do, and the reason why I don't do it. So 3 reasons: the psychology, I want to give because I really want to give and I want the great feeling of giving. The second is credibility, and that I want to refer people, and I want people to know that I'm referring them or referring somebody to them because I really believe it's a good connection. And then the last thing is just the whole notion of, I want to have a relationship. I want the hope that at some point the karma will do me good. And will do me good. Karma will shine down on me. And if I'm getting paid, then you know what? Karma, as much as you believe in that, is, it's just not going to come to pass. So anyhow, to wrap up, if you know of an entrepreneur, business owner, professional that seems to enjoy networking, they appear well connected and are somewhat involved with the chamber or a professional networking organization, they would be a good person for me to meet. As you know, being networked is vital to success, and receiving referrals is the most effective means of generating business. So if you know such a business professional, work into the conversation this rhetorical question: if you had a choice, would you rather be a renter or the person who owns the building? Now, they'll probably chuckle at that question and indicate that somehow, obviously, they'd want to own the building. I mean, why wouldn't they? You'd rather own the building than be the person paying the rent. But when they do, indicate that you're familiar with a franchise opportunity through AmSpirit Business Connections, where they're not just being part of a networking group, not part of a professional networking group, but rather they're instrumental in building professional networking groups and profiting from them. From there, suggest that they contact me using the email we provide at the end of the podcast, or the one we have it within the show notes, or better yet, email them and then copy me or include me on that same message connecting the two of us. I would certainly appreciate that.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.